Next week on Emmerdale, Tate is set to be exposed as tensions rise for both the Dingles and the Sugdens. Earlier this week, Moira Dingle sold Butler's farm to the Tates, influenced by Joe's interference to push the deal through. Cain Dingle was unhappy with his wife's decision, but she acted with her family's future in mind, despite being imprisoned for a double murder she didn't commit. The farm sale resulted in Joe appointing Robert Sugden as the new tenant farmer, returning the Sugdens to control of the land. However, it seems Joe's scheming isn't over yet. As Robert and his fiancée Aaron Dingle move onto the farm, and the Dingles explore starting a new property of their own, Joe sets his sights on Lydia Dingle. Cain, initially hesitant, returns to the Dingle household after being away for several years. Suspicion arises among the family when Joe shows up and apologizes to Lydia following recent events. He also offers her a pay increase, which leaves Tate questioning his true intentions. When Cain begins planning a new Dingle farm, his family enthusiastically rallies behind him. Meanwhile, Robert is touched when he notices Aaron has restored the old Emmerdale farm sign, signaling a fresh start that harks back to the show's origins. Nicknamed the Sugden Reboot, they prepare for the next chapter of their story. Yet, while the two families focus on their futures, Joe seems far from done. His unusual behavior around Lydia suggests he has a hidden agenda. Graham confronts Joe about this and reveals that he knows all about Joe's secret scheme. So, what exactly is Joe planning, and who will be affected? Will his plan succeed, or could Graham intervene? Viewers will need to tune in next week to see how far the villain will go to get what he wants. Either way, with the Dingles, Sugdens and Tates all involved in the double farm storyline, longtime fans of the ITV soap are in for a nostalgic treat. An era comes to a close as Emmerdale's Cain Dingle makes a heart-wrenching exit, triggering major changes. The show had promised that Cain's prostate cancer storyline would forever alter his character, and they deliver in the most emotional way as the Dale's toughest man finally relinquishes Butler's farm. This year has barely begun, yet Cain has faced a storm of tears and hardship. Not only is he battling a cancer diagnosis, but his wife, Moira Barton, has been framed for crimes linked to the deceased human trafficker Celia Daniels, thanks to the ruthless scheming of Joe Tate, who wants Butler's farm for himself. With Moira imprisoned for the foreseeable future, Cain must manage the farm, raise two sons, confront a life-changing illness, and navigate the loneliness of it all, with only Sarah Sugden to lean on. As a fellow cancer survivor, Sarah is the only person in Cain's family he can confide in about his condition. She has even helped him keep the farm afloat, albeit through minor criminal acts, like stealing Joe Tate's car. Yet, the farm's finances continue to struggle. Unpaid bills pile up, and Joe's bullying tactics escalate, forcing Cain to consider giving up the farm for good in a recent special episode. An emotional call from Moira in prison leaves Cain racked with guilt as she thanks him for keeping the farm running in her absence, unaware of how close they are to losing everything. When the car theft threatens Sarah's marriage to Jacob Gallagher, and Joe threatens legal action over his stolen vehicle, Cain is confronted with the stark reality of his situation, especially after noticing blood in his urine at the Woolpack. For the first time in years, Cain faces an enemy he cannot punch away. Struggling with his health, his business, and his family, trying to shoulder it all alone is taking a toll. In a powerful two-hander scene, Jeff Hordley's Cain visits Natalie J. Robb's Moira in prison and finally reveals the full seriousness of his stage 4 prostate cancer diagnosis. Previously downplaying it, Cain leaves Moira devastated but grateful for his honesty, realizing how advanced the illness has become. This emotional confrontation ultimately leads to the difficult decision for Moira to sell Butler's farm to the Tates. Fans should brace for a turning point as Cain leaves the farm and returns to the iconic Dingle cottage for the first time in years. Initially hesitant, Cain decides to move back in with the Dingles. At the Woolpack, he struggles to find any sense of celebration. Can he endure this difficult day? The long-dreaded moment arrives. Cain leaves Butler's farm, taking one final keepsake with him. In his place, Robert Sugden awkwardly settles back in and even offers Matty Barton a job. This is a small redemption, given that Robert had earlier planted the false invoices to frame Moira at Joe's instruction. Cain returns to the Dingle homestead with his sons, who are unsettled by the move. Determined to create a fresh start, Cain immediately begins plans for a new Dingle farm, with the entire clan putting their energy into the project for his family. It marks a new chapter for Cain and the Dingles. Only time will tell if this choice is the right one. Emmerdale's Matty Barton is preparing for a tense showdown over his late sister Holly's memorial, as emotions run high following the sale of Butler's farm. The young farmer is set to confront the Tates after recent events have pushed him to his limits, with his family's sacred space at the centre of the conflict. Actor Ash Palmisciano, who plays Matty, has revealed that the storyline will show a different side of his character. Usually the calm and level-headed member of the Barton family, Matty is now forced to step up and defend what matters most to him. The drama began when Matty's mother, Moira Barton, decided to sell her share of Butler's farm to Kim Tate. Moira made the decision to ease life for her husband Cain, who is facing health challenges. But for Matty, it marked the end of an era for both the Bartons and the Dingles. The farm has long been the heart of their family, and letting it go has been an emotional struggle. When Moira completed the sale, she was assured she could continue visiting Holly's resting place in the fields. However, recent events suggest those assurances may soon be ignored, adding tension for Matty and the rest of the family. Speaking to Inside Soap, Ash explained, "Matty is usually the calmer one in the family, but with Moira in prison, he's starting to show a fiery side. He gets very upset over something serious. His sister Holly's memorial tree gets chopped down, and Matty is furious. He goes to confront the Tates, worried about what this could do to Moira at such a vulnerable time." Ash spoke alongside Natalie J. Robb, who plays Moira. Natalie hinted at possible developments regarding Moira's release from prison, saying, "Start the campaign. I recently received fan mail with strips of paper all saying Free Moira. There's a lot to look forward to. I have a meeting with one of our producers at Emmerdale today to find out more." Moira has been held on remand for several weeks after being wrongly accused of double murder, human trafficking, and forced labour. While she fights to prove her innocence, Cain has been diagnosed with prostate cancer, leaving him to juggle his illness and ongoing battles with the Tates. With Holly's memorial under threat and Matty determined to defend his family, viewers can expect an emotional and explosive series of episodes, full of tension, heartbreak, and drama. Emmerdale airs weeknights at 8 p.m. on ITV1 and ITVX.